Welcome to my channel, Military Comebacks. Today's story will leave you breathless and emotional. It's about respect, strength, and a woman whose calm silence taught everyone around her the true meaning of power. The mess hall at Camp Orion buzzed with the usual morning chaos, plates clattering, voices echoing, the smell of breakfast filling the air. For most, it was just another morning. But for one new recruit, it would be a day she'd never forget. Her name was Avery Collins. Quiet, composed, her uniform flawless, boots spotless. She carried herself with a confidence that came from something deeper than training. The moment she walked in, heads turned. She didn't laugh, joke, or fidget like the others. Her calm presence alone made her stand out, and not everyone liked. It had a corner table for recruits read. Baxter, Nolan, and Cruz watched her closely. Young, cocky, eager to prove themselves, they had been bragging all morning about their skills and toughness. When Avery sat down alone, they smirked. "Look at the new girl," Reed muttered. "Thinks she's too good for us." Baxter laughed. "Yeah, probably thinks she's already an officer." Cruz leaned back. "Let's see how tough she really is." They stood and approached her. The mess hall quieted slightly, curious eyes following as the four walked toward the lone woman. Avery didn't look up. She ate her oatmeal slowly, deliberately, as if they weren't even there. "Hey, new recruit," Nolan said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Too good to sit with the rest of us?" Avery finally looked up. Her eyes were calm, steady, unflinching. "I didn't think anyone wanted company," she said simply. Reed chuckled. "Oh, we do. We just want to make sure you know how things work here." Avery tilted her head slightly. "And how's that? You respect the people who've been here longer?" Cruz said, arms crossed. "You don't just walk in like, you own the place." "I didn't realize eating quietly was a problem," she replied softly. Her calmness seemed to enrage them further. Baxter slammed his hand on the table, rattling her tray. "Don't get smart with us," he growled. The room fell silent. Every recruit watched. The cooks froze. Even the officers turned their heads. Avery didn't flinch. She stared at Baxter for a moment, then stood slowly, controlled, deliberate, almost predatory in her movements. "You should sit back down," she said quietly. Reed laughed. "Or what? You gonna report us?" Avery took a single step forward, eyes locked on him. "No," she said. "I'll handle it here." Her words hit harder than any shout. Cruz, trying to show off, reached for her wrist. In a flash, Avery twisted free, grabbed his hand, and flipped him onto the floor. Baxter lunged, and she blocked. His swing, sweeping his legs out from under him. Reed charged, and she used his momentum to throw him across the table. Nolan froze, staring in shock. 40-5 seconds. 4 recruits on the ground, groaning. Avery stood, breathing calm, expression unchanged. The room was silent. A deep voice cut through the quiet. "At ease, Chief Collins." Every head turned. Commander Hayes, one of the most respected officers on base, stood at the doorway. The recruits snapped to attention, faces pale. Avery saluted. "Sharply, sir." "Good to have you back, Chief," he said. "Didn't expect you breaking in the new recruits this early." The word chief hit the 4 recruits like a hammer. Avery Collins wasn't just any soldier. She was a Navy SEAL legend. Commander Hayes approached. Chief Avery Collins completed 6 deployments, led extraction missions behind enemy lines, and trained some of our best operatives. "She's not here as a recruit. She's here to evaluate you." The recruits' faces burned red. "Sir, we didn't know," Nolan stammered. "That's exactly the problem," the commander interrupted. "You judged before you knew? Strength isn't loud voices or clenched fists. It's discipline. It's control. Chief Collins just showed you that." Avery glanced at the 4 on the ground. Her eyes softened. "We all make mistakes," she said. "What matters is how we learn from them." She picked up her tray and walked out calmly, leaving the recruits frozen. Later that evening, the same 4 found her on the bleachers, watching the sunset. Reed spoke first. "Chief, we wanted to apologize. We were out of line." Avery studied them, then nodded. You were, but apology accepted. Why didn't you just tell us who you were? Baxter asked. Respect shouldn't come from rank, she said quietly. It comes from how you treat people. If I told you my title, you'd have acted differently. I wanted to see who you really were. Cruz looked down. We failed that test. You stumbled, but you got back up, Avery said, faint smile on her lips. That's what matters. They sat in silence as the wind carried the distant sound of drills. Finally, Nolan asked, "What's it like being a SEAL?" Avery considered it. It's not about being the strongest or fastest. It's about never quitting. It's about standing up when everyone else gives up. It's about trust. Trust in your team, your training, and yourself. She stood, looking at the horizon. One day you'll understand. Strength isn't in your fists or voice. It's in your heart. Real battles aren't always fought on the field, they're fought inside you. In the days that followed, the recruits trained harder, learned to move as a unit, and lead by example, not fear. Every time they passed Chief Collins, they stood, taller, spoke softer, and remembered her lesson. Weeks later, during an early morning drill, Avery supervised them. Reed and the others moved with precision, working flawlessly as a team. Commander Hayes nodded. You did good with them. They did it themselves, Avery said quietly. Just needed a reminder of what they're capable of. The sun rose, painting the camp gold. She felt a quiet pride not for the fight in the mess hall, but for the change she'd sparked. They respected her, not because she was a Navy SEAL, but because she showed what true strength looks like. Calm, patient, unshakable. That moment would stay with them forever. In just 45 seconds, Chief Avery Collins didn't just teach respect. She showed what it truly means to wear the uniform. Like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional and cinematic stories from military comebacks.